Several days ago, I released a video about Arnab, that clown, and it got decent views. I think we should give him a chance and not let Pocky Sharma hog all the spotlight. Some netizens in the comments asked if I genuinely admire Pocky, and I'm concerned about their intelligence. They completely missed the sarcastic tone. Pocky's nickname in China is hyperthyroid sister, implying excessive testosterone secretion, with netizens saying her Adam's apple is prominent, making her look like a man. Objectively speaking, I think there's nothing to criticize about Pocky's appearance. However, culturally, most Chinese people are unlikely to like Indians. To be clear, this isn't racism. It's purely a matter of aesthetic differences. Pocky's masculine traits are one of the main reasons for her popularity in China, something Arnab can't compete with, even though his views are even more laughable. Returning to Arnab, his recent remarks have attracted significant attention on YouTube, including from Chinese viewers. For instance, he was the first Indian host to declare war on the US, stating that if any country could challenge the US, it would be India. He has also shifted from debates with people like Gao Zikai, no longer boasting that the Bharat Empire could crush China, but instead claiming that China and India should join forces to confront the US. In his videos, he passionately declares that India and China, both with 5,000 years of civilization, could never be defeated by a country like the US with only 200 years of history. However, such statements didn't win praise from Chinese netizens, who pointed out that despite its 200-year history, the US is undeniably powerful. If India thinks the US is a paper tiger and Trump is a paper fox, then India should confront the US alone without involving China. China doesn't deserve to be mentioned alongside the 5,000-year-old Bharat Void Empire. If it comes to confronting the US, China can take on the US one-on-one, winning the title of world's best or accepting its fate if it loses. China doesn't need a backer. It fights the strongest opponent, and it fights alone. Not long ago, the clowns at Republic World released a video claiming that only India could save the US and China. The video stated that China and Xi Jinping are at their weakest and need India's rescue. If China is so weak, don't ask us to cooperate. We wouldn't want to hold India back. Besides, you also said the US needs saving by the Bharat Empire, suggesting it's weak too, so defeating the US should be a breeze for you. Best wishes. Start the fight soon. Regarding the 5,000-year civilization history, China's verifiable history spans roughly 2,000 to 3,000 years. The 5,000-year claim is more of a mix of myths and legends, driven by national pride. Compared to Egypt, ancient Babylon, or even ancient Greece, there's a gap. China truly became a world-leading nation after Emperor Qin unified it, remaining a global powerhouse until the late Qing dynasty. However, after the Industrial Revolution and even the Western Renaissance, China gradually fell behind the times, suffering repeated humiliations in modern wars and losing vast territories. It wasn't until World War II, with help from allies like the US, that China defeated Japanese fascism and became a permanent member of the UN Security Council. Later, China demonstrated its great power status in conflicts like the Korean War. In the 1980s, China accelerated its reform and opening up, joining the WTO in December 2001, which led to rapid economic growth. Today's strong China was built on the hard work and sweat of generations. China hasn't been crushed in its rivalry with the US and has even made the US feel the pain of retaliation, thanks to the hard strength of being the world's factory, not by boasting about a 5,000-year civilization. A nation with 5,000 years of history that only brags, fantasizes, and boasts will naturally be humiliated by a country with just over 200 years of history. Yes, the 5,000-year-old Bharat Void Empire Arnab talks about never existed. It's just a concept fabricated by Modi and his clownish colleagues. Historically, no country called Bharat ever existed. The name India itself came from British colonizers. India was never truly unified until British guns and cannons made it a single entity. Throughout India's history, the majority Hindu population was ruled by various civilizations, constantly enslaved, with masters ranging from Greeks to Persians, Mongols, and British. Yes, the Bharat Void Empire always had a master enslaving them through various means. That's the truth of the Bharat Empire. Contrary to the delusions of Arnab and other Bharat fanatics who imagine a once mighty empire that invented AI, 5G, satellites, and airplanes in ancient times, what actually existed was a tragic history of fragmentation and constant changes of masters. India's independence in 1947 wasn't won through battle, but through nonviolent non-cooperation, exhausting the British who grew tired of governing and granted independence. Afterward, the Bharat Empire descended into civil war, with India and Pakistan constantly fighting. The Indian military's combat strength isn't as formidable as Bollywood portrays, leaving behind countless surrender scenes, a force that truly needs a master's whip to function. In the recent India-Pakistan air conflict, the 5,000-year-old Bharat Empire had 5 fighter jets shot down, facing relentless global media mockery, with even Trump repeatedly confirming it publicly. Yet, the Bharat Empire chose to celebrate nationally for 10 days, then months later released a report claiming they shot down 5 Pakistani jets, shocking the world with their shamelessness. To this day, the 5,000-year-old Bharat Cow Dung Empire remains one of the world's poorest nations, with the highest number of illiterates, over half its population in extreme poverty, the dirtiest living conditions, and the most broken social moral system. In this country, public defecation, littering, and scams aren't considered shameful. So much so that when they bathe in lakes or defecate on beaches abroad and get criticized, they accuse the critics of racism. Alright, although the US is China's rival and biggest potential enemy, I must say, in a one-on-one between the Bharat Empire and US imperialism, I hope US imperialism defeats the Bharat Void Empire. I don't want a world full of garbage, feces, and scammers. By the way, I'd like to remind Arnab, when Modi comes to China to beg, keep your mouth shut. Don't provoke Chinese netizens with your boasting, causing Modi to be humiliated in China. When begging, know your place. If you keep bragging, not only will you fail to get rare earths, other raw materials, or machinery, but you might face harsher consequences.